Good morning, everybody. Hey, good morning, Peace of Christ community and friends joining in for our Coffee with a Pastor. I'll give you a few minutes here to get people on. And I'm doing a screen share this morning, giving that a shot. I hope it's working. You won't get to see me. Wonder if it'll tell me how many people are logged on. We got people here. Hey, okay, I'm starting to see some comments. I see Aurelia found me. It doesn't show me how many people are signed on watching doing this screen share. So, kind of winging it this morning. I'm going to try to watch it from... Oh, that's weird. I'm going to watch it from my phone. See if it'll say... Oh, I see Joyce is here. Great. Looks like we got a couple of people live. 4 is what I'm seeing. Hi, Joyce. I hope you and David are well. Miss seeing you guys. I really do. Michelle Kitchens. Hey, Michelle. Hope y'all are doing well also. I hope Dan is staying safe as he's out there working. I hope you are staying sane as you taking care of those 3 at home, along with I imagine you're teaching and that you're trying to keep up with your responsibilities as an educator. Hard work. Well, I'm going to give it a few more seconds for people to sign on. Today is Wednesday of Holy Week, and we are halfway to Good Friday. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've taken my advice and you've been reading through some of the scriptures I talked about on Sunday as we approach Good Friday and then Easter. But on Wednesday of Holy Week, one of Jesus' activities is he goes and he eats at a Pharisee's house. Weird, right? Like, there's no pinning this guy down. There's no putting him in a box. He is completely unpredictable. He is like Wendell Berry's poem, The Mad Farmer, the manifesto of the Mad Farmer. Go read that sometime. But there's just no predicting him. I think if we should be like Jesus, it should be that we are unpredictable and a bit crazy. So let me read these scriptures to you, and then we're going to take a look at a few things. But the scriptures for today, for Wednesday of Holy Week, first I'll read from Luke 7. Jesus anointed by a sinful woman. Man, can I just say that title that the editors put in here just pisses me off. There's like no reason to call her a sinful woman. Why don't we say Jesus anointed by a woman who is shamed by a broken society? Why can't we say that? But instead, she becomes the scapegoat. We talked about scapegoats on Sunday. She becomes the scapegoat. All right. When one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and he reclined at the table. A woman in that town who lived a sinful life, learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house, so she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. When the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a real prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner. And Jesus answered him, Simon, I have something to tell you. Tell me, teacher, he said. And Jesus tells a parable like he often does. 2 people owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he forgave the debts of both. Now which of them will love him more? Simon replied, I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven. You've judged correctly, Jesus said. Then he turned toward the woman and said to Simon, Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You didn't give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman, from the time I entered, has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little loves little. Then Jesus said to her, Your sins are forgiven. The other guests began to say among themselves, Who is this who even forgives sins? But Jesus said to the woman, Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. One of the things I love about the Gospels, and I didn't really discover this until post-seminary, is there's always this unpredictable hero. And in this case, the hero is the woman. Let me read from Matthew 26 because we get a little different perspective here. Jesus anointed at Bethany. See, that's a better way to title this, all right? You don't got to always be judging. All right, while Jesus was in Bethany in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head. Notice Luke said his feet, Matthew says his head. Just interesting how they're telling the story differently. Hope that doesn't break your faith. If that breaks your faith, your faith's a little too fragile. Which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. Why this waste? Notice who's critiquing here. It's no longer the Pharisee, it's the disciples who don't get it. This is a common theme in Matthew, is that the so-called insiders don't get it. They're actually outsiders. And the outsiders are actually the insiders. Anyways, verse 8, when the disciples saw this, they were indignant. Why this waste? They said. This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor. Aware of this, Jesus said to them, Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. And true to his word, you can find this story, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, what's called the Synoptic Gospels. All three of them tell this very story. And then I've got to add this, because there's something about this whole thing that this woman did that breaks Judas. It's a breaking point for him. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this pushes him over the edge, that this woman would have such gall to come and do this. And so it says, then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priest and asked, What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. I want to just take a look at an image of the name wrong. You could go to his website, heechieart.com. I put it in my notes as well. Here she stands. Give me just a few seconds here of Visio Divina, will you? Here she stands, waiting. What will I do? She is weighing the judging eyes, looking at her. What is she doing in this house? Who let her into this Pharisee's house? She's not even supposed to be in Simon the leper's house. She's not even worthy of being around a leper, according to her society. So she stands there feeling the weight of judging eyes, judging thoughts, judging tongues, judging actions, wondering, who will I listen to? Should I listen to these men who have commodified me my entire life? Should I listen to my fear that this might push Judas over the edge? Maybe she's thinking to herself, I have denied his advances for pleasure and money ever since I came around Jesus, and Judas has been propositioning me. Will I now pour myself out for Jesus in front of Judas? Will these men accuse me of not knowing my place, something I have heard again and again and again my entire life? Will they accuse me of forgetting who I am? Do I listen to them, or do I listen to the one who calls me friend, beloved, sister, daughter, forgiven, embraced? Who do I listen to? In the comments, I invite you, if you want to add on, what do you hear her saying? What do you hear her thinking as she stands here? What decision will I make? I wanted to throw in one of my favorite cartoons. I don't mean to move too quickly away from this, but you can find it on Heechie's website. This is one of my favorite cartoons from a cartoonist called The Naked Pastor. He has some really good stuff, but it reminded me of this morning. The expectations of others were the bars I used for my own cage. And I thought about this also this morning, as I have a friend, a dear friend, who lives in a domestic abuse and domestic domination situation. And I thought of this, and I thought of our woman here getting up the courage to leave that awful situation and having to stop listening to the voices in that house and listen to a deeper, truer inner voice, the voice of God. I hope and I pray for her and for all of us who are in those kinds of situations that we can find that strength. Along the same lines, I wanted to show this power and control wheel. Maybe some of you have seen this before. I mean, these are some of the dynamics that are in play, certainly in that situation with our woman in the biblical story. There are many different dynamics trying to control her through intimidation, through coercion and threats, through male privilege, through economic abuse, all different ways. And it's certainly true for my friend as well, who's in this situation. So this is powerful. It gives name to a lot of the dynamics that happen. And on the other side, what the kind of wheel or kind of dynamics that we want to embody would be the equality wheel of nonviolence in our homes, in our families, in our workplaces. I'm thinking of my friend right now. How are the economics shared in her home? They're absolutely not. That's why she is kind of captive there. The equality of shared responsibility, shared parenting, honesty and accountability, respect, non-threatening behavior, all these things. So I just wanted to highlight some of these dynamics because I think they're very apropos to our time right now. Those of us who are quarantined at home in dangerous, dominating situations, I want to shed some light that it doesn't have to be that way. There are other ways. And I think our woman in our story, she is our saint for courage and bravery. And I love it that on today, Wednesday of Holy Week, we get to read her story. I leave you with her. May she be your saint today, your saint of self-affirmation, your saint of affirming the God inside of you, that flame that never goes out. May she lead us as we continue our journey on Holy Week. I love you all. Have a great day. And Fran is back tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.